Hello and welcome back to Raw Talks with Dr. Brandy and Dr. Cami. Today, Dr. Cami is going to lead the conversation, so I'm going to hand it over to her.
Well, thank you. So yeah, I've been talking a lot with my patients and clients lately about the idea that life is an illusion, right? This is a spiritual saying or concept that I've heard throughout the years, like, well, it's all an illusion. And so I wanted to kind of talk a little bit more about what that means and what that actually is. Not that this presence is all an illusion, so you shouldn't really care about it, but rather the way that our brains work and our minds go into the what ifs. And it likes to ramble there. And a lot of times we go down this spiraling effect of what if, what if, what if, what if. And this is where anxiety starts popping up. Okay. And we spend so much time in these made up scenarios in this alternative universe. That's what they're talking about as the illusion. The mind creates the illusion. It creates endless opportunities and possibilities of what could happen, the what if. And when you start to recognize that that's not the real space, that's an illusion, but where you are right now, where you are in your presence, the people that you're with, that's the reality, that's real. And to shift from that, there's lots of different tools, but one of the biggest ones that I like to do is just shift your focus from your brain, but start listening. Just shift to listening to what's around you. Listen to the birds, listen to your breath, listen to the noise in the other room. And it helps bring you into this moment, and you can assess where your body is and are you safe right now, especially when you're anxious. Like, anxiety is not a thought. You can't think your way through anxiety. You have to feel your way through it. It's a feeling, right? But we have to shift our focus away from this illusion and these daydreams or doom scrolling, as you could say. And getting out of that is a practice. So that's what the illusion is.
So
Is that
it makes sense. I was studying, I do yoga teaching, it's Kundalini yoga. I don't practice it as much. I practice it, don't teach it as much. But in one of my teachings, it was a Buddha or a current Buddha who said, when you stop fighting the illusion and accept that we're in one, it's not about getting rid of it. It's about accepting where we are. And I feel like that's kind of what you're talking about. It's like, sure, we can look at science and we can understand that a chair is just a bunch of particles that are held together, that we as humans, we're just a bunch of particles held together in this physical body, and that it moves and changes consistently. So sure, in one concept, it's an illusion, and we get to choose how our mind takes us through this, but it's still our current reality. And so many people think, sorry, that, okay, we're in an illusion, so I should be able to walk through this wall. It's like, well, no, yes, sure, the wall could be an illusion, but you're in this reality right now. And we're creating the wall, so we're creating our illusion. So it sounds like that's kind of what you're talking about, but deeper in the sense of the mind, how the mind will take us to another journey. And I'm just reading Untethered Soul. And he talks about how you have to be the observer of all your other thought processes because it's not really you talking. And then I attribute that to parts work, like the different parts of us have a say in all this stuff happening. We had the worst case scenario part, like you said, it takes us to this what if way over here. We have the fear part, it's way over here. And so how do you take this concept of, you know, we we have illusions in our minds of the what if possibilities that can be really detrimental, but on another spectrum could be life-saving depending on the scenario. So how do you start to discern the extremes of the illusion? I'm not sure if that's a good way to say it.
well, recognizing first of all that this is what your mind does. So you're turning off thought. It's I've never experienced doing that, and I don't know how to teach people like, oh, you just meditate until your mind turns off. Like, that's not really what it is. It's understanding and accepting that this is what your mind does, and then how do you use it to your advantage, right? So your brain doesn't know the difference between reality and imagination. That's why when you go down those doom scrolling, as I say, your body responds. You feel like it's actually happening on some level. And so that's where we get all mixed up and we start confusing our thoughts with reality, and we can get trapped in that mindset. But when you recognize that it's happening, usually through the feeling of anxiety, then you take it one step further. Go as dark as you can go, right? Just let yourself just dwell there. Like, oh, I'm going to lose all my money and my family's going to leave me and I'm going to end up in a van down by the river and I'm going to have to be a sex worker and I'm going to be dying of some needle contracted disease. And like, just let yourself go as dark and nasty. What's the worst that can happen? And then go the other way. So there's imagination tends to be the doom. Visualization tends to be the good, right? And so we want to understand that the practice is called two ends of a stick. So we go the other way and we start imagining and visualizing the best that could happen. Like you can start from the doom or you can start from where you are and say, okay, well, then I unexpectedly win the lottery and my royalties for this book that I wrote about my struggles like takes off. And it's like I stepped into a stream of luck and all the fat from my belly moves to my butt and my boobs and my hair just like gets vibrant. And, like I win a Nobel Peace Prize and I like become this spiritual teacher that I've been wanting to become. And everybody wants to work with me because they just connect with me and yada, 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 yada. And what you recognize, when you start that practice, then your brain just will start to, fantasize the other way. But you've got two ends of the stick and life is going to happen somewhere in between there. And you can handle whatever happens because now you've got both things going on. And yes, it's like you can also, so this works as like, I'm prepping for the worst, but I also am like, how do I get to the good? Like, what are the action steps? And so you can start going, well, if this version of me looks like this or acts like this, one thing I can add in my life right now to get me there would be this. And it kind of gives you a little framework. And it's not that the doom stuff is bad. Like anxiety doesn't have to be a bad thing. It's going to be there. It's part of who we are as humans. But what I like to, I wrote this in my current newsletter was, I was at the park with my kids and my daughter had handed me her bike helmet and I was holding it. And I started my brain, the Maya, the yogic Maya is what we call it, the veil, the illusion starts kicking in. I'm like, oh my gosh, if somebody comes up and tries to take one of my kids and I have to fight them off and like, how am I going to do that? And so I started wrapping the bike helmet, like strap around my hand until it got really taut. And then I was like, yeah, that would amplify my punch. And like, it's like you kind of just get a solution and like a prep for it. So I think that the biggest thing is understanding that this is the reality of the way the mind works. It's the what if. It's just the what if.
There's two things I want to say to that. This morning, during one of my meditations, I was told that we need to talk about the veil. So it's interesting that you're leading the conversation, you bring the veil up. And I was just told it's very simple that, I think we've talked about this before where I look at living LIVE. I had a friend one time say, I've heard this throughout my life, live spelled backwards is evil. And I really started thinking about that. And I was like, I do believe the one thing that harms us is when we stop living or stop someone else from living, and that is evil, right? And then if you throw a D in front of it, we're in the dimension of evil. So we're constantly throwing these things that can keep us from living. And then I looked at the word veil and I heard veils are what lies we put in front of us. That's it. And so individually, we have to cipher through these veils of which one's lie, which is truth. And as a world, we have to do the same thing. Like, do we want to live this way? Is this a lie or is this truth? And so when you were talking about, I call it, then we have the middle pillar and the two extremes of that middle pillar. And I was thinking, so the illusion from what I I hear you saying is what we're envisioning possibly happening on these two extreme spectrums. And then the reality is what's going on the now, the right now. Like right now, we're sitting here, we're doing this podcast. This is what's happening. And we're working towards the positive illusion that we're going to reach and help people expand their consciousness and be empowered, right? As many as we can. So then you, as a creator, have the option to decide which illusion you want to move towards. And that's when you manifest it into the now.
Right. Yep.
Yeah, beautiful.
Yeah, I like that. Yep. I lost my train of thought because I'm trying to focus on being in the now, and my brain's like, no, go over here. But yeah, it's interesting stuff because we get so wrapped up, and that's where I was going. I found my thought again. That's the part of our brain that connects us with God, that creative piece that makes us unique, is that we get to create, but we have all the possibilities open to us at all the time. And so your mind is open to all those possibilities. Your body is right now. So what do you want to do for it? Like, which way are you going to go? And we can get stuck, and anxiety is the in between, the bouncing back between fear and shame, right?
Yeah.
Or guilt, fear and shame, but back and forth. Fearing for my survival. I feel bad about who I am. I fear for my back and forth. That's just what anxiety is. And
I think anxiety is a little bit different. Like if you add to that, like,
yeah,
or let's say that's the physical, which I really like this. You and I talk about the physical and the metaphysical. Physical, it could be shame and what'd you say?
fear.
Fear. And then for me, my anxiety was always driven by connecting to energy, not knowing what it was. And so now that I know what it is, and that we are greater than ourselves, or we're connected to all these different, I don't know how to say, dimensions, energy, realities, we're connected to each other, that I would pick up on someone else's stress or anxiety. And once I understood that, it went away from me. But I do see a lot of my clients who they struggle between those three things: and shame, fear, or understand themselves on a greater scale. Maybe that's a good way to say it. That there's always voices. There's always, I don't want to say voices, but there's always ideas, like you said, coming in. We get to choose, but that in itself could create anxiety, I guess, right?
Endless possibilities causes anxiety also. Yep. Yeah. And so we get the the gift of, once you become aware of it, that's the biggest thing, is we go through so much of it unconsciously of, I don't know why I'm anxious, but you don't realize that you've just been completely engrossed in an imagination of going on a walk and having a bear attack you. And do you have to fight the bear? Do you survive? Like, like you're maimed and you have to quit your job and you can't do it, like whatever it is. So it's becoming aware of like, oh, I'm anxious. What was I where's my truth? Where's the story that I was just telling myself? And then talk your way into the positive of it. But yeah, I think that even at the essence of, I felt other people's energy and I don't know what it is fear and shame, because a lot of people who feel that have felt that since they were kids and told that they were weird or like unaccepted or like had a lot of stuff going on. And then fear of survival, like, what is this? Like, is this going to kill me? Like, is it going to help me? And it's kind of that back and forth. And when you can start to understand that, you get empowered on how to move out of it.
Yeah. Well, I get anxious when I have, so let's talk about mom intuition. So say I'm just having my normal day and I'm talking to you and all of a sudden I get anxious. Back in the day, I would take that as fear or doomsday or whatever the case might be. But now I stop. Now I know what anxiety is for me. It changes per person. I'll go, okay, does one of my kids need me? And I'll go through is it a warning? Is it a fear? Is it a shame? I don't normally do shame, but I can understand why that would be important. And then once I have an answer, then it goes away. And so I think building a relationship with your own anxiety as a part of you is essential in self-observation of these illusions. So I wanted to bring up something like I'm reading Untethered Soul by Michael Singer. And one way for me, you said that you can't get to this quiet or stillness. And I can really quickly, but I've had to practice. And it's not long. It's like a snippet of just like everything just melts away. And then you can become the observer of your thoughts versus your thoughts running you. You become the observer going, oh, yeah, I'm taking myself down this illusion of someone's going to reject me. Someone's going to tell me I'm not good enough. Or um, I, I guess the positive felt so good to me. I love going every day into my future vision of what I want to create and then taking the step today. That's part of my manifestation plan is I connect every day to the future me that is healthier, happier, has it more together. And it's just simply, and I don't dwell in it though. It's just, I feel it. And then I pull one, like you said earlier, and Dr. Joe Dispenza talks a little bit about this too, is like, I thought I had my glasses on. Where, you connect with your future self and ask, what's one thing I could do today to get closer to that self? That's what you said earlier. And so I'll connect with that illusion every day that already exists. And I'll say, what do I need to do today to get closer? And sometimes I'll hear, you're already doing it. And sometimes I'll hear, you're not working on your books. So you need to schedule that in. And I was like, okay. And so when I catch myself, like last night, I was laying in bed and all of a sudden the worries came in, all these different worries, like you said, this illusion of fear or what I need to do. And I popped back to my future because that's where I feel calm. I feel calm now, but I can't explain it. It's just like the greatest version of me that's just a little bit better than today. And I got, you're not working on your books. Like, oh yeah, so what do I need to do? You need to schedule it in like you do with the podcast, like you do with these other things that you're doing. It's like, oh yeah, I should probably do that too. So I today made sure I want my calendar put write book, throughout the week so I can do the work, right? Because there's parts of us that want us to be successful. And then there's parts of us that believe that we're not worthy enough to do that. And I think a lot of that comes from these fear talking is we're taught to believe that we're powerful but not powerful. That yeah, you can have people who write books and who do this and they're successful, but not us. Right. And so then you're constantly, if you're pushed into that illusion of I'm never gonna be successful, then what do you do with that, Dr. Cami? Like if you start to notice that you're going down this path of you see this positive, but then this negative pops in. And again, they're both illusions because they're not in the now, unless they're affecting the now. But the idea is to clear up these illusions and decide which one you want, and then create it, right? Just like if someone has a thought of a chair, at first it's an illusion, it's up here in the ether, floating around, and then they write it on a piece of paper, they draw it out, then they find someone who can create it, and then they bring it into this reality, and then it becomes real.
Yeah, it's just the difference between imagination and visualization. Imagination isn't real.
And isn't it?
But it gives us, some prep. And it's anxiety in that sense is a forgetful problem. You keep forgetting that you already solved this. You've already worried about it. You've already created a solution. You just forgot. So remember, you have to remember that you forgot. And the visualization piece is not real unless you put action to it. So it's like imagination's just not real. We can dive into that and we can feel the pain of losing our children. We can feel the pain of losing the ones that we love and the worst case scenarios because our body, and then we get addicted to those chemicals too. We get addicted to drama. And most people are we're more motivated by pain than by pleasure. So utilizing that for your advantage too. Like, okay, I now imagine this and I've got the solution. You can take a step. Step gets you, action gets you out of fear, and action gets you closer to visualization and manifestation, right? So that quantum part of your brain, that God connecting part of your brain is giving you all the options, all of them, good, bad, anywhere in between. So you have the steps. You can say, okay, I won't get to the worst because I refuse to let it get that far. I'll always do action steps to avoid that. So that can make you feel better. This is the best, like not just the best for the next best, but the best of the best of the best. So and then I've got action steps that I need to do to get to that point, right? So if your overarching goal of life is to get fit and feel healthy, well, then, okay, then this is what that person would look like. This is the habits that they would have. And then I can take a step here. If I don't, and I go way down this way, I won't hit that bottom because I refuse to get to that point. So I'll take steps. So it's all like building action points that you can keep going in line with your goals.
What's coming in for me is this phrase is you're so creative that you already have the ability to, through imagination, know what feels good and what does not truly feel good. And so many people feel like they have to physically experience it, even though they don't have to, that they create it. And so to remember that sometimes those imaginations are good for you to gauge which direction you want to go. So it's a beautiful tool. No one's saying don't worst case scenario it. No, don't. There's no one's saying not to worst case scenario it. And no one's saying that you have to always best case scenario, because at the end of the day, it's your choice. And if you sit in the pain, then you should ask yourself, why am I choosing to sit in the pain? Right? And once you can find those answers and you have the choice to change it. I mean, it's kind of like, tell me a little bit, because we're talking about illusion, right? And I forgot the name, but there is like the prisoner who was a prison of war, who his imagination or helped him survive that time, right? And that connection. So
I can see the cover of the book. He was a Holocaust survivor.
yeah.
Yeah.
And so, because I can hear a lot of people going, well, I'm in this position, which there are a lot of positions in which people are in and they can't get out of. And I know we don't talk about it, but it's a real thing, right? But this person talked about being in one of those scenarios, and even like the Sophia Code, the woman who wrote the book was a victim of sex trafficking. And the one way she survived was to have this communion with the gods to help give her the hope and direction to get out of it. And she did. And if you want more, and of course, if you want to know more about it, read the Sophia Code, and she has a podcast about her story. But we can use it as an additional excuse of the pain that some people are in to never get out. And so it goes back to, people who are in pain, that's a reality, then they have to see themselves out of it and then take the steps how to get out of it. But they have to imagine it even as a possibility, then create a plan to get out. So imagination is real in the sense that it's here. But I love how you said, but in order to bring it to this reality, you have to take actual steps to make that imagination come into this material world. Right? But it even goes back to like, you can be raised in the same household with 4 siblings or 8 siblings or 2 siblings. And your reality is so different from their reality, even though you were in the same house, because of what you choose as an individual to experience through those from the experience.
Yeah. Well, I think that too, we develop our own unconscious stories that mirror us in the real world, because when we have trauma, and everybody does, big T, little t, everyone has trauma. A lot of trauma happens because something happened when we were kids and no adult was there to tell us what was really like the reality of a situation. So we created a story about it, and it's carried with us forever until we do, like working with someone who does childhood trauma therapy or whatever, like going back to find that story of that initial trauma and then rewriting it with the wisdom and the knowledge of an adult brain.
Yep.
So when you have siblings that grew up together, situations change where parents evolve and they don't parent the same because they've got
I remember.
experience. There's a lot of reasons for that. And then like there's even stuff that happens. Like I was just doing um my trauma on my shame block, and I felt like I just must carry a weight around me, or people can't make money when they're near me because if I, go back where, my parents were always saying we didn't have any money, we were always broke, and now I'm out of the house and they have these beautiful properties and they're like, financially okay, and now I'm trying to be a small business owner, I'm trying to make a profitable business, like all of these things happen. And when you go back to that original story as an adult, and it's like, well, yeah, they're doing great because they're not supporting you anymore. Like they're not, all of these things. You can go, oh, okay, like this just weird unconscious thing that I've been carrying around with me doesn't need to be there. Just because I justifiably felt like this as a kid doesn't mean that this is the reality of my situation as an adult or whatever it is. But we carry all this stuff around with us. And the illusion is being stuck in that mindset, being stuck in that feeling that you're in danger because your imagination takes you to every situation is going to be dangerous when that might not be the case. It's there. It's a gift to help you prep yourself, but it's a gift when you get the action piece to change your reality of right now.
Yeah.
And like this is just broad spectrum. Everyone has very unique situations, right? But understanding that piece and understanding that the action part is your responsibility. You might not have complete control over your mind. It's going to wander and do what it's going to do. You're going to be gardening and go, oh my gosh, like all of these things happen inside my head, but you don't need to stay there, like you said. And if you feel that strongly that you could end up there, then you take the action steps to make sure you don't get there or get out of it.
So what homework assignment would you say, or tool, I think you said it throughout this podcast, is first understanding what an illusion is and how we still have our reality. And then you have the negative imaginary illusion, you can go down, or the positive, and it has an actual effect on your body. So what homework assignment would you give our audience to help them get out of that?
I like the two ends of the stick is the biggest one. And go wild with that positive. I mean, go like, it doesn't even have to be realistic because really the dooms ones are not usually realistic. Like you're not having premonitions where everything's bad's going to happen. Just like visualizing that I become like a third level spiritual teacher, like where my presence is just healing and my lineage, like every reincarnation, I like everybody like I just keep coming back and getting better and better. And like all my kids and you can go wild with that. And it doesn't mean that that's going to happen either. But that playing with that piece helps you feel better and it gives you the action steps to give you the life that you want. And what I found was that doing these practices, I used to be in anxiety all the time. I couldn't leave a conversation. I still kind of leave this kind of stuff and go, ooh, did I talk too much? Did I sound delulu? Like I still have anxiety residue, but I also have a bigger aim that I'm working towards on reaching more people and waking people up to their potential. And that piece, you develop an expectation. It's not a hope. It's not a worthiness. It's an expectation that this overarching goal will happen in my lifetime because I'm constantly taking steps towards it. I'm constantly taking steps away from the negative and I'm constantly taking steps towards the positive. I may not reach that massive goal that I have. That's okay because that's not the point. Life happens somewhere between, right?
Yeah.
So practice
Awesome.
getting wild with your positives.
I love it. I love it. And taking the actionable steps to get closer. That's also
Yeah.
very important. So we appreciate you guys coming and joining us here on Raw Talks with Dr. Cami and Dr. Brandy. Please subscribe below or like and share with someone that you think would benefit from our talks. And if you have anything you want us to talk about, any questions, please post them and we will make sure to have a discussion about them. We appreciate you guys and have an amazing day.